Hello viewers, welcome to another episode of I Can Make It. And yes, you will make it. Just keep confessing, just keep saying it to yourself, I can make it. It is the champion inside of you that is really speaking. So anywhere you are, continue to tell yourself, I can make it. Whether you are in your house, whether you are in your office, whether you are driving, whether you are in the marketplace, or whether you are in the middle of a meeting and you are on the hot seat and they are asking you some questions that is rattling your brain and you are like, how do I go about it? Just keep telling yourself, I can make it. The more you tell yourself, I can make it, the possibilities that will help you make it in life will begin to emerge. And that is the beauty of life, that once you were challenged, but now you have what it takes and you are no longer challenged. So you will be able to make it. For today's episode, I want us to look at a very interesting topic. I want us to look at building a support network for success in life. Building a support network for success in life. Everyone desires to become successful in life. Success is a ladder. You need a lot of work to get done before you can tell yourself you are a successful person. So most times we need to build up a supportive network system. When you start things with people, they will tell you that this thing cannot work. This thing will fail. So you as a person, you need to begin to see yourself in a different perspective. That this thing I am doing, this thing can work. This thing we are doing, this thing will work. And you begin to tell yourself, I can make it. Then you now begin to encourage the others. Many times when people are telling you, probably you are working as a team, and they are telling you that we can't get results, is because what will help them get results, they are blind to those things. Those things are not yet unveiled to them. So for you, the more you look at that problem, the more you begin to receive inspiration that this is what I can do, this is what I can do. Then you now build a support network. When they are coming with complaints, you come with ideas and you have a meeting, you sit down. Have you considered if we do it this way? Have you considered if we do it this way? Have you considered if we use this material? Have you considered if we use that material? Let's give this a try. Let's give that a try. You are building a support network for you to be able to succeed in life. Now, the thing about success is this. When A is successful, B is also successful if you are working as a team. So if you are in any team, whatever task has been given to you, always note this at the back of your mind, that some members of the team will give 1,000,005 reasons while the task given to them will not succeed. They will always come up with excuses. Now, there is this popular saying in life, there is no excuse for failure. So if you fail in life and you are giving excuses that this is the reason why I'm failing in life, is because you have not given life the kind of right approach that can help you succeed in life. So when you work with people, one of the very important things you need to do with them is to let them see reasons why they have to succeed. When you succeed in that particular task that is being given to that team, every other team will begin to emulate that success, will begin to emulate whatever you are doing, and they also will begin to succeed. This is how organizations, this is how territories and the nation as a whole, this is how we can be able to take this nation through from whatever challenges that we are having right now and get ourselves to a point that we become, a success, that we are able to generate solutions for our peculiar problems, and we are not necessarily telling ourselves that this problem cannot be solved, this problem cannot receive any headway. No. If you are a member of any team right now, begin to see everything positive that can come out of whatever task that is being given to you. And always tell yourself and tell your team members, there is no excuse for failure. On this assignment, I am not here to fail. I am here to make it. And if we work together as a team, we will make it. If you look throughout the land, there are so many problems, so many organizations, so many teams, so many parastatals, and everybody has been trying to, rack their heads, what can we do, and all of those things. See, I want to encourage you, just continue to brainstorm. Just continue to build a support network system. Success is around the corner. And I can assure you, if you are not giving up, if you are not throwing in the towel, and you can look at yourself that we will make it, we can make it. I tell you, as you build a supportive network system to succeed, you will discover that mindsets of all the people working in that team will change. And this is very, very important, because every success in life should be standing on some things should be holding the success. So may every member of your team be able to hold whatever you have labored for over the years, so that the success, when it tilts to one side, will not drop and will not turn to a failure. So I want you to please encourage yourself. Continue to encourage yourself, and continue to help the other team members to bring the best out of them, that you can make it, we can make it. And you discover that if you build a support network for you to be able to succeed in the marketplace, if you bring that same strategy into your family, you will discover that you will begin to succeed. Today, many families are growing apart. Father has gone this way, mother has gone this way, children has gone another way, and they keep telling themselves, this family can't get it right. This family cannot make it. You cannot be in that family and watch the family go down the drain. You need to rise up right now and begin to, bring everybody together. Begin to inspire them. Begin to motivate them that this family will work. This family will succeed. We will make it in this family. You bring in your idea. Let me bring in my idea. Let the other person bring in the idea. Let us harmonize our views. And you discover that in this process, harmonizing your views, looking at how you can get a better result, looking at how you can make it, you discover that what were challenges for the family in the years past, you will not see those challenges again. And I want every family to please build a support network system. And you will discover that whatever looks like a mountain before you right now will definitely become a plain. It's a mountain, it's because of where you are standing. If you change the position of where you are right now, you will discover that there is actually no mountain anywhere. So if you have been able to see possibility inside impossibilities, what I will encourage you to do is to also bring the other people to that level. In a situation that the other people are not seeing what you are seeing, you consistently continue to do what you know is right. I can assure you that contribution that is coming from you, there is a way it will affect the results. If you have been getting mediocre results before, that continuous input that you are putting into it will give you an outstanding result, an excellent result, and that will become your testimony from now. So let us continue to build a supportive network system for success, telling ourselves, I can make it. Telling our team members, I can make it. I can assure you, your team will not fail. And by the mercies and grace of God, you will all succeed. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of I Can Make It. So go with this understanding, build your team members, build a supportive network system, and I can assure you at every point in time, you all will continue to succeed because you all will make it. See you in the next episode. Thank you.
Welcome back. This is still the Good Morning Africa show on Housing TV Africa. And today we are looking at something very interesting, mental health. It affects everybody, and we are trying to see how we could get to that place where people are comfortable talking about their mental health and the state of mental health and all of that. So today in the studios, we are blessed to have a psychologist and a counselor who was trained in the US and has done so much work for, I know that the last 30 years of your life, you've been doing a lot of work around counseling people, helping people understand mental health and the challenges that come from mental health. So we have Mr. Biodun Adegoroye in the studios, Housing TV studios. You're welcome to our studios, Mr.
Thank you
Biodun
very much.
Adegoroye.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on Good Morning Africa show.
Morning.
Thank you so much. So, you'll be helping us shed light, as always, to what we have on our front burner today, talking about mental health, dealing with the issues of the mind. Now, first and foremost, what would you say is a major contributing or contributory factor to why in our communities people are still ashamed to talk about mental health, their mental health?
Yeah, one of the challenges we have in life generally is that we do not have very good education and very good educational system that can define things for us. Because most of us will go, life is not easy, and we are going to go through the vagaries of life. Some of the things we go through in life are traumatic. Some of them are stigmatizing things, like when I was wetting the bed when I was young and I went to secondary school, a boarding school. It was one of the failures in my life that I was cringing. I mean, that became a problem. How do I deal with life when I discover that I have seen a weakness in myself and so forth? So now mental health, I mean, we have different things, different aspects of it, but we are not taught. We don't even, it's like human beings cannot accept weaknesses in people, and yet weaknesses are everywhere in everyone. Failures, we can't accept failures. You see people committing suicide because they feel that others are seeing them as failures and they cannot deal with that. In fact, there was a man, the funny thing is that there was a man who was successful in all ramifications. When he speaks, everybody from the president to everybody listens to him. But there was one occasion that he failed because his counsel was not heeded. Another person's own was heeded. And the man left everybody, went to his house and hung himself, committed suicide. One failure, assuming he failed, he didn't even fail. It was the best advice given to the president. But because God didn't want him to succeed, he wanted to save somebody whom he was actually advising how to capture the person. So God saved the person, but he didn't know that God was involved in this deal. So he failed. Let's say, assume that he failed. And he went and killed himself. So was he mentally healthy? How can you define your life by one failure? So because human beings can't handle failure, we have that problem of mental health. And that means that
That's why the stigma will continue to thrive.
Yes.
Now,
and so,
sir, how would you define a mental health situation, especially when this particular person or individual would you can clinically say has not been to a doctor, but you have sometimes you slip into depression, you have some emotional what's the word now? They said your sweet mood swings and all of that. So are those some signs minor symptoms of a mental health situation that one should pay attention to?
Yeah, when you say mental health, is a gamut of all things. I mean, you can be mentally healthy and yet you are having challenges. But you see, you may be poor, you may have poor mental health. That means that you are not well because you are not able to think well. The mind is a very, very serious thing, and we need to guard it. We need to inform it properly. We need to develop it. But unfortunately, we don't have such a curriculum. We don't even have that we don't even think about it. We think it's normal that you should be thinking normally. But people are not thinking well. How many people are happy in their marriages and so forth? Everything starts from the mind, originates from the mind. So if the mind is not healthy, it will inform decisions, it will inform behavior, it will inform attitudes and so forth. And that is why a wise man once said that guard your mind, guard your heart with all diligence, because from it, the issues of life flow out from it. So we need to start understanding that we need to be mentally healthy. And just like if you are going to be physically healthy, you eat good food, you do exercise and so forth. So we need to train the mind to be able to change, adopt, and grow, mature, and all that. I mean, there was a man that says, when I was a child, I thought like a child, I spoke like a child, I behaved like a child. But when I grew up, I threw those things away. So it develops, the mind develops. So even if you are, it's like I had a theory in my PhD counseling. I said balance adjustment theory. What I meant by that was, if you see a tree growing and you cut one branch, it will start growing from the other side. Nature and God has given us ability to adjust, ability to manage our mental health, and to be able to. But you see, if our thought processes have been jaded or have been arrested by some other trauma, so we cannot actually function. We cannot grow on the other side and all that. We will not manage. We will now need
Because
help.
the mind has been confined.
Has been
Limited,
compromised.
compromised.
So we now need help, and many human beings need help. That's why we talk about mentoring. We talk about counseling. We need that because not everybody is able to process properly.
Okay, so let me ask the question now. Growing up as a young child, you see male children when they want to cry, the parents say, "Oh,
I know,
don't
don't
cry.
cry.
You are a man. You are not supposed to cry." So it becomes like a generational thing or a cultural thing. It's very difficult for the male folks, maybe all Africans, but male primarily, to open up on the position of their mental health. So you see someone losing his job, he can't tell his family members because of the stigma. So how do we overcome the stigma of mental health? So we could even have our male children or our parents or whatever, the elderly ones, when they have challenges, they are able to share and maybe get solutions.
Yeah, you are talking about something that affects the whole of society. You know, culture is one of the environmental factors that determine perception and behavior, attitudes, and so forth. Now, if you say don't cry, I mean, crying is good because it's a way to purge yourself of the sadness that you have. They call it catharsis. You drain yourself of the sadness. So if you, for example, if you lose a loved one, I lost my first wife. And I couldn't cry initially because I felt, oh man, I'm a man. But on the day we were doing the service of songs and so forth, I started singing a song and the words touched my heart for the first time, touched me very seriously. I just found myself, I lost it. And it was that day I made connection with my emotions as a man, which is good. Most men have lost the key to connect with their emotions. And that is why they don't appreciate their wives. They can't even relate to how their wives are feeling and all that. And they say, well, the person who looks at a woman's face is the person that knows that she's unhappy or whatever. They will just ignore, they harden their hearts because they have been trained by culture. But culture is not always right. And culture is dynamic, it can change. So we need to start changing. We need, like this program is to educate people. Are you getting what I'm saying? So that we can actually start taking care of our minds and understanding that life is filled with so many challenges. I mean, if you feel, don't go into depression and not be able to get out of it. You will meet failures in life. You need to bounce back. Some men can't even say, I'm sorry. Because the idea of saying I'm sorry means that they have been defeated. They have been seen in a weakness. Who is not weak? Who will not actually wrong somebody? Even if you are not deliberate about it, your statement can hurt somebody else. And you should be able to say, I'm sorry, I never intended to hurt you. Please forgive me for. I mean, but you see, to say sorry for some people is it's like you're asking them to commit suicide.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Culture will play a major role. Family will also play a major role.
Yes.
Because some families may have it as a rule that you have to say the 5 magic words: please, excuse me, I'm sorry, and all of that.
Forgive
Maybe
me.
another family, they don't have that. Now we all come together and we're working in a particular organization. How do I manage or navigate through when you know this person is coming from this background, that person is coming from this background, and I'm coming from a place where I respect people, I'm courteous, and all
Yes.
that. How do we balance mental health
Situations
situations
in the workspace.
in workspace?
Oh, yeah, leadership. What vision has the person who established the workplace? Has he gone for training? Has he opened his mind to the fact that, like Jesus Christ, he brought about 12 people, different, some of them are zealots. They were very rigid in their thinking. But he brought them together, and then he gave them a vision, something that they never thought about, what they could be. And then he started training them. And that is where mentoring comes in. So if the owner of the company or the leadership now understands, you know, a nation or a company or a family is as good as the leadership. So if the leadership is getting it right, then you start mentoring and training and exposing people to the fact that, oh, you are white and black, you are different,
We can manage
we
our
can manage
differences.
that. Our differences should not be a source of hindrance. Rather, it can actually add color, and we can build on it. We can use it for our good. There was a story about some group of human beings that decided together. That's the mind now again. Good mental health. Even though they were rebellious, God said, "Go and move around, take control of the earth and so forth. Fill the earth." They said, "No, we want to build a house. We want to reach heaven by our own." And because they agreed, you see, they started working together, even in disobedience, but they were working together, and they worked together. That is the origin of human languages, and God decided to scatter them with languages. So what I believe is that when we are different, but we decide that there's a commonality, something brings us together, and it's bigger than us, you will see us working together to achieve that.
Now, would you now subscribe that maybe management or bosses, leadership of firms, those in the leadership position,
Yes.
should probably enlist a shrink or psychologist to come, go through their work, what's the word now?
Workspace.
Not the work,
The
the
training.
workforce,
Okay.
and then maybe have a one-on-one session with each employee so you can identify the strength of this one and the strength of another. With that synergy, can now refer or recommend to the leadership or the management
What the
that, okay,
person
this
needs.
this is what this person can do, and this is what this person will not be good at or function well in. So don't expect this from this person. So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, the boss will probably have a better working condition, and they can achieve or get to their goals in no time.
Actually, we may not need a professional psychologist or counselor. That is the domain of the human resource people, because human resource management, they are to manage the human resources that you have in your organization. So if they tease out the people as they are coming together, they know exactly their limitations and their potentials. So they will be the one to actually assign things and activities that is going to bring out the maximum.
Oh, really? Because
Yes.
I've been somewhere before where they brought in a shrink
No, I'm not
to
saying
just
that.
actually, we filled forms and then we had sessions with this person. And at the end of the day, he could recommend based on his sessions, counseling sessions with each person.
Yes.
He was now not talking to the boss, you're talking to a counselor. So you can tell the person how you feel. So I don't know if human HRDs or companies would fit in properly.
They should be able to.
Okay.
But if they are lacking in that knowledge of human psychology and so forth, of course, it will be very wise to employ, if it's not going to be too expensive. But it will go a long way, because we don't even think about those things.
Maybe you do that for us.
Okay, so I'd like to ask now, how do we handle pressure? Knowing that a lot of people are going through lots of stress today. There's work stress, there's economic stress, there's financial stress, there's transportation stress. There's a lot of stress everywhere. So, and these triggers just keep coming. Sometimes you just on your own, someone comes with something at you. Maybe you decided I don't want to have problems with anybody.
But
I
that's
don't want
not
to
possible.
get hey, it's not possible and all of that. But it will come. So the pressures keep coming. Sicknesses, you lose loved ones. Like you mentioned, failures will come. So how do we handle these failures when it seems all of them are coming at you at the same time?
Yeah, in those days, I would have said, not that this is a recommendation, people would just go and drink alcohol and sleep it away, because they believe that when you are drunk and it makes you feel good, it makes you to forget your problems. Some goes into social media. We have what you call the gadgets of social media now, telephones. You can watch movies. They become very inefficient, because they don't even know how to handle the things that God has given us to help us to be more efficient. Unfortunately for us again, these social media and these instruments of technology have not made our lives easier. They have made work they have tripled and multiplied work, because when they make a particular process easier, then the work increases, because now you can do much more than before. So you start doing much. So the stressors now continue to build up. So how do we handle stress? Well, everything has to do with the mind again, and then the skills of that we acquire along the way to be able to know that, look, I have to prioritize. I have to know that this is the most important. When I was working as a teacher, I go home and I'm not free. At 4 o'clock, I'm supposed to have closed, or 5 o'clock. But you say I go home with my computer, I am marking scripts, I'm setting exams, I am setting assignments. So my wife will smile and say, Okomi, play with your baby. You carry the computer, give me good food, warm the water, and then she started helping me out to drain stress. Forget about the workplace. You have a responsibility at home, which I didn't even recognize. I still wanted to, I was an A person. I wanted to succeed. So I would still be on the computer till 12 midnight. But she would gently remove those things, massage my neck, and say, carry your baby and play with your baby. And then I started falling in love with home duties. So sometimes, and that's why we have holiday culture in some places, to be able to drain out stress. Not increase your stress by ignoring what you're supposed to do, drinking or binging on films or on social media or whatever. I mean, those things add more pressure, because they make you not to rest properly, not to relate with people. Can you imagine a home? Everybody has come back, and everybody is watching on the phone, doing something different. They are not talking to each other. How are they going to be able to resolve their conflicts or even plan together and work together to build a happy home? So it's a problem in these modern times. But I think if people recognize that, they will just be able to organize their time. This is me time, this is you time, this is work time. There's a time, there's a season for everything that we do. And we must recognize that. But if we don't, we also need people who have succeeded to help us to succeed. And the human condition is that those who have been able to succeed should help those who have not been able to succeed. And that is where mentoring is always needed, both in the home, in the church, in the company, in the government. Now we have a new government. But the older people who have actually seen what to do, what impact have they made on these new people? Because people are reinventing the wheel. You don't know anything. You have never been a senator before. You've never been a legislator before. And you are coming in. What is the orientation? What program has been put in place to make sure that people, get to be mentored properly so that they can do their work more efficiently? You see, and that is important. Okay, you see Barack Obama, when he became a president, he documented his experiences, and he left the presidency, he wrote a book. Now that book becomes a very beautiful experience to guide people that are coming to see the challenge, how he cope with some challenges. But do we have that in our culture? Do we even think that our experience matter? What we have gone through and how we succeeded, are we putting it down? I mean, there's a lacuna there.
Okay. So. Well, talking about government, one of the rules when fined by the Federal Road Safety Corps is that you pay a certain amount and then you go for a mental health checkup.
If they discover that you are not functioning well.
Oh, really? Is that the essence?
No, I'm asking.
Because they assume that you shouldn't beat traffic lights. So when you beat traffic lights,
yes,
they feel this person is not okay. So we'll get back to that. Would you also subscribe that our leaders should probably have a periodic mental assessment?
I think that is good for it. In fact, if you want to assess me today, I will be very glad, because it will help my functioning. Nobody wants to be assessed. Many men don't even want to check their health, physical health, because they don't want to discover the bad news that they have prostate or they have cancer. So they just bury their heads like an ostrich in the sand while things are going bad. So I think periodic checks are fantastic. In fact, if you have both in the workplace, in the home, and everywhere, I think that's a very beautiful idea.
Okay, so yes. You're watching Good Morning Africa. We'll take a break now. Don't forget, we're looking at issues of the mind, dealing with mental health. How good is your mental health. You want to stick around with us as we still have quite a couple of questions to tackle with our experts. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us on the show. We'll take a break now. Do well to stay tuned.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts. On Facebook, Housing TV Africa. On Twitter, Housing TV Africa. Instagram, Housing TV Africa.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Housing TV Africa, Good Morning Africa show. And we're having an expert, Biodun Adegoreye, who has done a lot of work in counseling, helping people understand their mind. We are talking about the issue of the mind. I'd like to ask the next question now. There's a generation called the Gen Z, there's a generation called the Millennials, and a lot of people, a lot of times they throw these words around, maybe quite loosely. You hear them say, you are messing with my mental health a lot. Let's talk about this generation and the pressures that they feel. Obviously, they are born in a time where we have the internet, there's fast access to information, so they seem not to be used to patience. You know, they get easily bored and just want to move to the next fast thing and the next big thing that comes. How does that relate or affect their mental health? People that can't stay in line, people that can't wait for things, people that are used to getting things at the snap of their finger.
There's a disease called ADHD, attention deficit. Some people are hyperactive. Different people have different challenges. But the problem that afflicts the newer generation is understanding how to use the instruments of social media, the phone and all that, because it just came up and people become distracted. Now, in those days, before we can watch a movie, we have to go to a cinema house and we book it, we plan it and all that. It will be like a reward system. But now that you have the cinema in your hand, you can just be distracted so much. And so people need to be taught. I heard that President Obama, when he was president, that he didn't allow his children to use the phone. I mean, there's a time for everything. So you allow them to focus. The phone is an instrument. Teach them also how to use it, how to do research. When I was, I had to teach my children how to use Khan Academy. Khan Academy was just starting that time. Online lecture. There are many graduates today who have retrained themselves. They may have done something else, but there's no work or whatever. They retrain themselves to be able to use it. So it's not actually necessarily bad. It's just that how do we use what we have for the best effect? So today, we're talking about Gen Z. People are so distracted that they don't even know what to do with themselves. Some people, they don't have following. They may even almost commit suicide because they feel so depressed. Nobody's following me and all that. But that shouldn't even be, I mean, people should understand what they are doing. So the real relationship, we should cultivate a way to teach people how to relate well, relate in a real manner. Because all the superstars you see dressed up and so forth, and that's not reality. That is just to let you know that we can be good, we can be beautiful and so forth. But the reality is that we have to deal with ourselves. We have to have a relationship. And when we are having a relationship, we are going to have conflicts. When you are watching reality shows, they are not really the reality that we experience in our day-to-day lives. We should also know that that's just also make-believe. But you see, if you now start thinking that that is actually the real thing, you are being deceived by what you see on the screen. But you see, your neighbor, your next-door neighbor, that snores and you cannot even sleep well because the sound is so loud, and you are living in one room, he's living in the next room, and things like that. How do you resolve that? And that is the skill that we need to start trying to teach this new generation so that they can understand that they have a purpose. And the instruments in their hands should not just be for to show themselves, to snap themselves and then post and then be looking for followers. They should be using that instrument to teach themselves skills that they can compete anywhere in the world. The world is a global village and it has shrunken. So people can earn dollars, as people say. My son was earning some money while he was in university. He was writing and so forth, and people needed writers. And he was able to fulfill that. And he was making money because he was trying to, raise his own skills and competency and so forth. So I believe that not appreciating what we have in our hands, not knowing how to use and then not having those who will also guide us. I think it's
So how would one,
sad realities.
okay, sir, thank you so much. How would one tell when you're slipping into depression? Very key, because sometimes you really never can tell. Like he said, you go back to the market, you bought something now, you go back, it's skyrocketed and all that. So we're having economic issues, the cultural issues. At a certain age for a girl, you know, marry a lady, you know, you have pressure from your family. Why you know married?
To marry.
How do you now manage the mind? You know, that watchword or the guard against slipping into depression.
Depression. Okay, what is depression? Depression can be pictured as you are trying to go forward and then you have a blockage and you cannot penetrate through the blockage, and so you become frustrated. That frustration now leads to feelings of despondency, lethargy. You don't even feel like doing anything again because you can't get to where you are going. No, but you see, it's still a perception, because we need to know how to deal with our minds and how to overcome with our minds. For example, the mind is so pliable, and that is why many people manipulate others and manipulate their minds to be able to take control of them. And so, why do you think that in many parts of the world, people they are described as sheep? Only the very few who can ask questions and question, speak truth to power and all that will get something different. But the majority of people, they don't really think very well. So that good thinking, critical thinking. I was in America and I was asking my professors, why is critical thinking a course that comes at university level and not at high school? Because you are going to take important decisions of your life at that stage. Then you need to be able to critically analyze, to be able to remove the wheat from the chaff. So critical thinking is very important for us to even incorporate in our own educational system, both in the home, out from the home. Let your children start thinking so that they can be smart and be able to go through. Okay, now look at, for example, you talk about pressure from home to marry and things like that. You marry when you are able to marry, when you are old enough. You know that before in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, created everything. He did not create man until the environment was ready for man to be able to survive and survive well. The fruit was in the garden before, and the garden was made before Adam and Eve were created. What is God telling us? Before you build a house, you sit down and see whether you can actually succeed in building the house. You have to have a plan. So we need to, if your parents start hustling you for marriage and so forth, what have they done to train you, to train your mind to be able to be someone who can cope even with marriage? Because marriage these days, with all the distractors and all the stressors and so forth, it's no longer succeeding as it used to be. In those days, you don't even know who you are going to marry. They just give you, and you change your mind and say, well, I've accepted this person, and you start making lemonade from the lemon that you are tossed. But not today. No, I don't want this, I don't like this, it's not talking to me right, and so forth, and then divorce. People just want to be selfish, and selfishness does not actually cut it. So we believe that the mind can be trained and your mind can change, so that even if you face failure or you face stress, how do you handle all those things that are coming your way? You should be able to learn how to do that by changing your mind and guiding it and prioritizing what is really important to me. You must be able to know that. And if you fail, for instance, I've failed many times. I have to get up. The shame, failure is not bad really, because it may be a stepping stone. The difference between the 100th experiment that succeeded and the 99th experiment that didn't succeed is simply that this one didn't succeed, but it added value for you to know that you should not go that way again at all. So failure is even good, because if you don't fail, if you don't try, if you're an investor, you will lose the money. But you see, take heart and continue, refine your processes until you get there. All the people who have ever succeeded and become millionaires and kept their money, they failed in many ways. Some of them lost their investment. But it's also, they don't look at it as evil or bad perception. They look at it that, Kai, I wouldn't want that to happen again to me. So they learn from that. So if it is not a blessing, it's a lesson. There's a lesson involved. Look for that lesson so that you can become a better person.
Okay, so I'd like to ask now, because you've talked about some of the things that people could do, but I'd still like to, go deeper. Anxiety, what are some of the steps that we could take to, come out of anxiety, come out of burnout, come out of depression for those who are listening to us? Some very practical steps that we could just go ahead, take these steps and, come out of that dungeon.
Yeah, sometimes I'll just ask them, if you can't do it by your own mental processes, you just seek help, where they will help you to, they will ask you questions, you'll be focusing on, then you'll be able to get out of it. Now, I had cancer some 13 years ago, and it was a sentence of death. And I was saying, wow, my children are young and all that. I prayed to God, we fasted and so forth, but the cancer was real and it was not taking prisoners. It was going to kill me. I was depressed. But I didn't really even realize that I was depressed, but I just knew that, man, I was going. But, the depression itself also adds more to the body, bringing down your immune system. So when I realized that, I said, look, each day is a blessing. If I wake up today, let me just do what I can do. There are people there was a young man going for youth service. He doesn't have legs at all. And it was so excited. I wonder, this guy doesn't have legs and he's going for national youth service. So people who have everything and they are just feeling bad, why should I do? That kind of thing is thinking. Thinking can change. The story I tell is, two people went to the market, they bought apples, and the apples were rotten. So, but they didn't know. After washing the apples and the first one wanted to eat it, a worm came out. Ah! This apple is rotten. He threw it away and cursed the person that cheated him. So he was kind of angry, depressed, and so forth. He has lost his money. It is his thinking process. But you see, the second person, when he saw the worm, he brought out a knife, cut the worm, and that part that is rotten and the worm, kept it in a nylon, ate the good part. No, it's not all the parts that are bad. Ate the good part, and then took the worm home and put it on a hook and went to fish. He caught a big fish. So the same situation, but understanding and perception changes everything. So we can actually overcome anxiety and depressive situations by changing our thinking. Honestly speaking, I mean, you are sick, but you can. There was a man who had cancer like me. He was one of my lecturers in university in America. People went to visit him. Oh, sorry, we heard that you are dying and all that. He said, brethren, please, I'm trying to finish my book. I know that I have just a few more months. I appreciate you visiting me, but you see, you're cutting into the time I have. They were ashamed. The people who are healthy, they said, I've not even written any book. I'm not doing it. But look at this man, he's going to die in a few weeks. And he's still busy trying to leave a legacy behind and so forth. You see what I'm saying? Death is a reality. There's so many things that are reality in this life. You will fail some, you will pass some. But you see, when you face with that reality, you don't just throw up your hands and say, oh, no, I can't do anything. No. It may be a way by which another beautiful door will be opening for you. So get up. If you can't overcome by yourself, seek a counselor that can encourage you, to let you know that the lessons you should learn from this failure is this. Yes, and so then
let's go into a bit of this, because we're almost running out of time. Okay. In parenting, some parents have children that are hyperactive, yes. And some of them would want to seek so much attention. What would you subscribe or recommend as the way out to handle such? Apart from reducing the number of sugar the child is consuming.
Yeah, no, I think that I suggest that parents should, maybe in churches and mosques and everywhere instructions are given, they should avail themselves of, they should buy books, parenting books, because it will increase their skills. They should know that each child is different. You don't compare them. One may be a slow learner and is going to bloom later. So don't look at him and say, "Kai, he doesn't even know anything," and this his brother is so sharp. And no, no, they are different, and recognize that difference. The one that is very bright now and so forth, enrich his environment so that he can learn quicker. The one that is slow, continue to work with him at his. Maybe he has some other special skills that may reveal themselves in time. Don't give up on any child. Love them, but don't compare them. But I think the parents should avail themselves of literature so that they can read widely, and then their perception, their mind, the way they look at things will be different.
Yeah. Today's discussion has actually showed us that the mind is very important.
Yes.
I think it is about time we normalize talking about the mind, seeking help, and supporting each other.
Well, so that's the show. Remember what so far we've heard about critical thinking, we've heard about placing premium on how you think, because remember, the way you think is the way you are or the way you act. Like right thinking will produce the right believing and invariably the right actions. Don't forget, if it is not a blessing, it is a lesson. I'm Joyce. Thank you so much for your time.
And my name is Ubong Osoro. Do have a beautiful day.